morning, students. Today I am going to discuss Contemporary India 1, Social Science Geography, Class 9, Chapter 3, and the chapter name is Drainage. It is an important and interesting chapter. Let's start. What is drainage? The term drainage describes the river system of an area. And a river is a natural flowing of water, usually fresh water, and flowing towards an ocean, sea, lake, or another river. Like Ganga is a river and it is the most important river of India. A river along with its tributaries may be called a river system. What is tributaries? A tributary is a river which flows into a large river, and a tributary does not flow directly into a sea or ocean. Or when the small rivers started in different direction and finally connected to the main river, then these small rivers are called tributaries of the main river. Example, River Yamuna and Gomati are the tributaries of River Ganga. If you look at the physical map, and you will be notice that some small streams or rivers flowing from different directions come together to form the main river, which ultimately drains into a large water body such as a lake or a sea or an ocean. The area drained by a single river system is called a drainage basin. The world's largest drainage basin is of the Amazon River in South America. And in India, Ganga River has formed the largest drainage basin. What is water divide? Any elevated area such as a mountain or an upland, when separate two drainage basins, such an upland is known as water divide. Like Ambala town in Punjab is a water divide between the Indus and the Ganga river system. On the other hand, the Western Ghat mountain range form the water divide in peninsular Indian rivers. Here you can see the two pictures. Left one is a drainage basin of a river and red dotted line show this. And right one is a water divide, means an elevated area such as a mountain or an upland which separate two drainage basins. Now discuss drainage system in India. The drainage system of India are mainly controlled by the broad relief features of the subcontinent. Here, broad relief features means the mountains, plateau, hills and plains. According, the Indian rivers are divided into two major groups. Number 1, Himalayan rivers. Number 2, peninsular rivers. Apart from originating from the two major physiographic regions of India, the Himalayan and the peninsular rivers are different from each other in many ways. In this picture, the river Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra are the major Himalayan rivers which origin from the glacier of the Himalayas, and other hand the Narmada, Tapi, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri are the major peninsular rivers, and they are mainly rain-fed rivers, that means dependent on rainfall. Himalayan rivers. Most of the Himalayan rivers are perennial. It means that they have water throughout the year. This river receive water from rain as well as from melted snow from the lofty mountains. Three major Himalayan rivers are the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. The Himalayan rivers have long courses from their source to the sea. A river have three courses like upper course, middle course and lower course. In upper course, a river flow in the mountain areas, and in middle and lower course, a river flow in the plain areas. If a river have these three courses, then this river is called an ideal river. Like Ganga river is an ideal river. Himalayan rivers perform intensive erosional activity in their upper course, means mountain area, and carry huge loads of silt and sand, and in the middle and lower course, that means plain area, they deposit of this material. And in the middle and lower courses, this river form meanders, oxbow lakes, means U-shaped lake, floodplains and delta. Delta is a triangular shape of landmass and it's formed in the mouth area, and here mouth area means where a river meet to the sea. Next, peninsular rivers. A large number of the peninsular rivers are seasonal or non-perennial, as their flow is dependent on rainfall. This river receive water from rain only, and major peninsular rivers are the Narmada, Tapi, Godavari, Mahanadi, Krishna and Kaveri. But during the dry season, even the large rivers have reduced flow of water in the channels. The peninsular rivers have shorter and shallow courses as compared to the Himalayan rivers. Most of the peninsular rivers of India originate in the Western Ghat mountain range and flow towards the Bay of Bengal. And some of them originate in the Central Highlands Plateau and flow towards the western direction. But maximum peninsular rivers have not three courses like upper, middle and lower courses. So these rivers are not called an ideal river. Next, I am discuss drainage patterns. The streams or rivers within a drainage basin form certain patterns, and drainage patterns depending on the slope of the land, underlying rock structure and the climatic conditions of the area. The following drainage patterns are: number 1, dendritic drainage pattern, trellis drainage pattern, rectangular drainage pattern, and last one is radial drainage pattern. First, dendritic drainage pattern. The dendritic drainage pattern develops where the river channel flows different direction on the slope of the landform. The river with its tributaries resemble the branches of a tree in this pattern. Example, the rivers of northern plain form this type of drainage pattern, and Godavari river also form this type of drainage pattern. Number 2, trellis drainage pattern. When a river joined by its tributaries at approximately right angles, means 90 degree, and develops this type of drainage pattern. Example, this type of drainage pattern is found in the Vindhyan mountain of India. The left side pictures show the dendritic drainage pattern of a river and it look like the branches of a tree. And right side pictures show the trellis drainage pattern, and here tributaries river join the main river at approximately right angle. You can see both the drainage pattern picture. Next one is rectangular drainage pattern. A rectangular drainage pattern develops on a strongly jointed rocky landform. Example, the Damodar river, Subarnarekha, Chambal rivers form this type of drainage pattern. And last one is radial drainage pattern. The radial drainage pattern develops when rivers flow in different direction from a central peak or dome-like structure. Example, Rivers like Narmada, Son and Mahanadi originating from Amarkantak hills and flow in different direction and form this type of drainage pattern. Here the left side picture show the rectangular drainage pattern where main river and other small rivers together make a rectangular shape, and right side picture show the radial drainage pattern where several rivers originate in a mountains but they flow in different directions. Now I am discuss the three Himalayan rivers, and the first one is the Indus River system. The river Indus rises in the Singkhabab Glacier in Tibet near Lake Mansarovar. Indus River flow western direction and enters India in the Ladakh Union Territory, and beyond this the Indus flow southward in Pakistan and finally meet to the Arabian Sea. The Indus River plain has a very gentle slope and total length of this river is about 2,900 km. The Indus is one of the longest river of the world, and 1/3 of the Indus River basin is located in India in the states of Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh Union Territory, and the rest is in Pakistan. Main tributaries of this river are the Jhaskar, Nubra, Sayok, Satluj, Bias, Ravi, etc. Do you know, according to the regulation of the Indus Water Treaty in 1960, India can use only 20% of the total water carried by Indus River, and this water is used for irrigation in the state of Punjab, Haryana and southern and western part of Rajasthan. In this map, you can see the flow and direction of the Indus River, and the river finally meet into the Arabian Sea. Next Himalayan river is the Ganga River. The headwaters of the Ganga is called Bhagirathi, and it rises from the Gomukh cave in Gangotri Glacier in the Himalayas. The Bhagirathi River joined by the river Alaknanda at Devprayag in Uttarakhand and together form the Ganga River. At Haridwar in Uttarakhand, the Ganga emerge from the mountains and flow onto the plain area. The length of the Ganga River is about 2,500 km. The Ganga River flow eastward till Farakka in West Bengal. Then the river bifurcates, means divide here. One part, the Bhagirathi Hooghly flow southward and meet to the Bay of Bengal, and the mainstream Padma River flows southward into Bangladesh and is joined by the Brahmaputra River. Further downstream, it is known as the Meghna. This mighty river with waters from the Ganga and the Brahmaputra flows into the Bay of Bengal, and the triangular shaped delta formed by this river is known as the Sundarban Delta. The Sundarban Delta derived its name from the Sundari trees, which grow well in marshland, and it is the world's largest and fastest growing delta, and it is also the home of Royal Bengal tiger. Several tributaries of this river are the Yamuna, Ghaghara, Gandak, Koshi, Chambal, Betwa, Son, etc. The Ghaggar and Gandak and Koshi rises in the Nepal Himalaya, and they are the rivers which flood parts of the northern plains every year. The Yamuna River is the main tributaries of the Ganga River, and it rises from the Yamunotri Glacier in the Himalayas, and Yamuna River meet the Ganga at Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh. Haridwar, Kanpur, Kolkata, Patna, Varanasi, and Allahabad cities are situated along the Ganga river banks. In this India's map, you see the flow and direction of the Ganga river, and the river finally meet into the Bay of Bengal. Third Himalayan river is Brahmaputra river. The Brahmaputra river rises in the Chemayung-dung glacier in Tibet, east of Mansarovar lake. Total length of the Brahmaputra river is about 2,580 km, and most of its course lies outside India. Brahmaputra river flows eastward parallel to the Himalayas, and on reaching the Namche mountain, it takes U-turn and enters India in Arunachal Pradesh. At Dhubri in Assam, the Brahmaputra river takes southward turn and enters Bangladesh and finally drains into the Bay of Bengal. In Arunachal Pradesh, Brahmaputra river is called Dhiang, and it is joined by the Dibong and the Lohit rivers and many other tributaries to form the Brahmaputra in Assam. Brahmaputra river is known as the Sangpo in Tibet and Jamuna in Bangladesh. In Tibet, the river carries a smaller volume of water and less silt as it is a cold and a dry area. But in India, it passes through a region of high rainfall. Here, the river carries a large volume of water and a large volume of silt. The Brahmaputra river has a fishbone or braided channel pattern in its entire length in Assam and forms many riverine islands. Here, Majuli is the world's largest riverine island, which is formed on the river Brahmaputra. Important tributaries of this river are the Suvarnasiri, Manos, Sankos, Tista, etc. Every year during the rainy season, the river overflows its banks and cause widespread flood in Assam and Bangladesh. Several cities like Dibrugarh, Tezpur, Guwahati, Gwalpara are situated along the Brahmaputra river banks. In this map, you can see the flow and direction of the Brahmaputra river. Most of the major rivers of the peninsula, such as the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri, flow eastward and drain into the Bay of Bengal. This river makes delta at their mouth. Delta means triangular shaped landform. There are numerous small streams flowing west of the Western Ghat. Like the Narmada and the Tapti are the only one long rivers which flow west and do not make delta. The drainage basin of the peninsular rivers are comparatively small in size. The first peninsular river is the Narmada. The Narmada river rises from the Amarkantak hills of Madhya Pradesh and it flows towards the western direction in a rift valley and finally drain into the Gulf of Khambat near the Arabian Sea. Here, Rift Valley is a steep-sided valley formed by the downward displacement of a block of the earth's surface between nearly parallel faults. It covers part of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Total length is about 1,312 km. Important tributaries of this river are the Tawa, the Orsang, the Barna, etc. Omkareshwar and Bharuch cities are situated along these river banks, and it has formed the famous Dhuadhar waterfalls on the Bheraghat Marble Rock region near Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh. In this map, you can see the flow and direction of the Narmada river. Next peninsular river is Tapi river. The Tapi river rises in the Satpura ranges in the Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. It also flows in a rift valley and parallel to the Narmada river and finally drains into the Gulf of Khambar near the Arabian Sea. Its basins cover parts of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra, and total length of this river is about 724 km. Important tributaries of this river are the Girna, the Purna, the Panjara, etc. And Surat city is situated along this river bank. In this map, you can see the flow and direction of the Tapi river. The coastal plains between Western Ghat and the Arabian Sea are very narrow. Hence, the coastal rivers are short. The main west-flowing rivers are Sabarmati, Mahi, Bharatpujya and Periyar. Both are west-flowing rivers. Here, Sabarmati lies in the state of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Mahi river lies in the state of Rajasthan and Bharatpujya and Periyar river lies in the state of Kerala. Next peninsular river is Godavari. It is most important peninsular river. The Godavari river rises from the Trimbakeshwar hills of the Western Ghat in the Nasik district of Maharashtra. It flows towards the eastern direction and finally drains into the Bay of Bengal. It covers part of Maharashtra, Telangana, Chhattisgarh and Andhra Pradesh state, and total length of this river is about 1500 km. And important tributaries of this river are the Wainganga, the Pranahita, the Purna, etc. The drainage basin of the Godavari river is the largest among the peninsular river. So, this river is also known as the Dakshin Ganga. Nasik city is situated along this river bank, and in this map you can see the flow and direction of the Godavari river. Next, the Mahanadi river. The Mahanadi river rises in the Siwar highlands of Chhattisgarh. It flows also towards the eastern direction and finally drains into the Bay of Bengal. It covers Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Odisha states. Total length of this river is about 860 km. And important tributaries of this river are the Shivnath, the Hasdeo, the Baitarani, etc. Sambalpur and Kotok cities are located along this river bank. In this picture, you can see the flow and direction of the Mahanadi river. And Mahanadi river finally falls into the Bay of Bengal, and it is a eastern direction river. Next important river is the Krishna river. The Krishna river rises from a spring near Mahabaleshwar hills of the Western Ghat. It flows towards the eastern direction and finally drains into the Bay of Bengal. It covers Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh state, and the length of the river is about 1400 km. Important tributaries of this river are the Tungabhadra, the Koyana, the Mushi, etc. Vijayawada, Amravati cities are located along this river bank, and in this map you can see the flow and direction of the Krishna river. The last peninsular river is Kaveri river. The Kaveri river rises in the Brahmagiri range of the Western Ghat. It flows towards the eastern direction and finally drains into the Bay of Bengal. It covers Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala states. Total length of the river is about 760 km. Important tributaries of this river are the Amravati, the Bhavani, the Hemavati, etc. The river Kaveri makes the second biggest waterfall in India, known as Shiva Samudram waterfall. And Kanchikal waterfall in Karnataka is the biggest waterfall in India. Sri Rangapatna, Tiruchirappalli cities are located along this river bank. Beside these major rivers, there are some smaller rivers flowing towards the east. The Damodar, the Brahmini, the Baitarini and the Suvarna Rekha. Both rivers are eastern direction river. In this picture, you can see the flow and direction of the Kaveri river. Next, I am discuss lake. You may be familiar with the Valley of Kashmir and the famous Dal Lake, the houseboat and shikaras, which attract thousands of tourists every year. Similarly, you may have visited some other tourist spot near a lake and enjoy boating, swimming and other water games. Imagine that if Srinagar, Nainital and other tourist places did not have a lake, would they have been as attractive as they are today? The answer is no. Apart from attraction for tourists, lakes are also useful to human beings in many ways. A large area of water surrounded by land is called lake, and lakes of larger extent are called the seas, like the Caspian Sea, the Dead Sea, etc. India has many lakes and these are differ from each other in the size and characteristics. Most of the lakes are permanent, which contain water only during the rainy season. There are some of the lakes which are the result of the action of glacier and ice sheet, while the others have been formed by wind action, river action and also human activities. Some lakes are natural and some are artificial or man-made. Now I am discuss the natural lakes. Most of the freshwater lakes are in the Himalayan regions and they are of glacial origin, and this type of lakes are natural lakes. Example, the Dal Lake, the Ulal Lake in Jammu and Kashmir, the Bhimtal Lake, the Nainital Lake in Uttarakhand, the Loktak and the Barapani Lake in Manipur. Here, remember, the Ulal Lake is the largest freshwater lake in India. Next, natural lakes. A meandering river at the time on the floodplain. The meander loop means curve, cut off from the river and form a lake. This lake is called Oxbow Lake. It is a U-shaped lake. This type of lake is found on the river Ganga near Patna in Bihar. You see the picture of the Dal and the Ulal Lake. Both are freshwater glacial origin natural lake, and another picture show the Oxbow Lake, which is formed on the floodplain and it's also a natural lake. Next, several lakes are found in the coastal areas and these are salt water lakes. Example, the Chilka Lake in Odisha, the Pulicat Lake on the Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh border, the Koleru Lake in Andhra Pradesh, etc. Here remember, the Chilka Lake is the largest saltwater lake in India. And several lakes are also found in the desert areas. These are also salt water lakes, and its water is used for producing salt, like the Sambar Lake, Didwana Lake, Pachpadro Lake in Rajasthan. Here remember, the Sambar Lake is the largest inland saltwater lake in India. Here first picture is the Chilka Lake and second picture is the Sambar Lake. Here both are saltwater lake. Next, artificial or man-made lakes. Apart from natural lake, the damming of the rivers for the generation of hydel power has also led to the formation of lakes. Example, the Guru Gobind Sagar Lake in Punjab, Gobind Vallabh Pant Sagar Lake in Uttar Pradesh, Upper Lake in Madhya Pradesh, and so on. Here remember, Gobind Vallabh Pant Sagar Lake in Uttar Pradesh is the largest artificial lake in India. You can see the picture of Guru Gobind Sagar Lake, and Gobind Vallabh Pant Sagar Lake is the largest artificial lake. Importance of lakes. Lakes are of great value to human beings. Like, lakes help to regulate the flow of a river. It's also help for heavy rainfall, and it prevents flood. During the dry season, it helps to maintain the flow of water. Lakes moderate the climate of the surrounding place and maintain the aquatic ecosystem. They enhance natural beauty, help to develop tourism, and provide recreation or enjoyment. Lakes can also be used for developing hydel power. Role of the rivers in the economy. Rivers have been of fundamental importance throughout the human history. Water from the river is a basic natural resource, essential for various human activity. There are some importance of the rivers are: number 1, rivers water using for irrigation, navigation, and hydropower generation purpose. The river banks have attracted settlers from ancient times. They play a very important part in the water cycle. Rivers provide fertility to the soil. They help to develop tourism. Rivers provide water for various domestic uses. And lastly, rivers help to moderate the climate and environment of nearby areas. River pollution. The growing domestic, municipal, industrial, and agricultural demand for water from rivers naturally affect the quality of water. As a result, more and more water is being drained out of the rivers and reducing their volume. On the other hand, a heavy load of untreated sewage and industrial waste are emptied into the rivers. This effect is not only the quality of water but also the self-cleaning capacity of the river. Some causes of the river pollution are: number 1, industrial waste, mixture of chemicals, heavy metals are all discharged in the river water. Number 2, agricultural waste, chemicals, fertilizer and pesticide used in agriculture have made the river water polluted. Domestic waste from households and the sewage that we throw into the rivers and the river water is being polluted. Regular disposal of plastic bags and other plastic objects are another cause of pollution of the river water. And lastly, animal washing, car washing, cloth washing are other causes of river pollution. Concern over rising pollution in our rivers led to the launching of various action plans to cleaning the rivers. One such action plan is Ganga Action Plan or GAP, and it was started in 1985. Under this Ganga Action Plan, pollution reducing work are being taken up in 57 towns along the Ganga rivers. And out of 215 schemes of pollution reducing scheme, there are 69 schemes have been completed under this action plan. Here you see the different picture of the rivers, and in recent time all the rivers are being polluted by us. The first picture is the river Ganga, second one the Yamuna river, third one the Narmada river, and lastly the Godavari river. And lastly, river pollution in any form must be stopped or prevented. Thank you.